Many people dislike cliches for their lack of originality. However, when it comes to cliches in Dragon Ball, is it really a bad thing? Well, let's find out. Today, I'm going to be giving you guys 7 of the biggest Dragon Ball Z cliches. For those of you that don't know the meaning of the word cliche, it is basically a phrase or opinion that is overused and portrays a lack of original thought. Kind of like this definition. A better definition would be being predictable, being unimaginative, or simply following the trend. So today we're going to be looking at Dragon Ball Z's cliches and seeing if they're actually a bad thing. The very first, and I would say biggest cliche, is no matter how strong you think you may be, there will always be someone above you. That has been a key message in Dragon Ball ever since day one. Ever since the training with Master Roshi and even still training with Whis, we are still seeing even though Goku is at a god level, there are still beings that rank above him in terms of strength. So this type of cliche has been going on for a while in Dragon Ball, but I definitely wouldn't say that it's the type of cliche that needs to disappear. In fact, without this cliche, I don't think Goku or Vegeta or anybody would be as strong as they are. So this cliche does get my approval, and I do think that this cliche needs to stay. Moving on to the next cliche before I jump out my window is the resurrection cliche. This cliche has been a massive staple within all of Dragon Ball. You guys know exactly what I am talking about. Yamcha dies, comes back, Yamcha dies, comes back, it gets very predictable. And the last thing you want to be is predictable. I mean, Toriyama tried to limit himself with the Dragon Balls by limiting how many times you can ask a certain wish, but then he introduces Purunga, which eliminates any form of death within the Dragon Ball series. I feel like if you're going to kill somebody, you should keep them dead. Don't bring them back in the next couple of episodes, because that would ruin the entire dramatic effect that their death had. I do think Dragon Ball Z would be better off without this cliche, so this cliche, in my opinion, needs to go. Moving on to the next cliche, it's a very small one, it's a very simple one, it's a very quick one, and this cliche is the transformations cliche. Think about it, every main villain in Dragon Ball Z had a transformation. Even Vegeta, when he first came to Earth, had a transformation that enabled him to beat Goku. But those were just the villains. The transformation that I really want to touch on is the Super Saiyan transformation. The Super Saiyan transformation is got to be one of the biggest cliches in all of Dragon Ball. If you're a Saiyan and you're put under the right circumstances, you will turn into a Super Saiyan. Now, I'm not sure if I like or dislike this cliche. I think seeing Goku going Super Saiyan for the first time was brilliant. Same with Vegeta and Gohan. I didn't, however, like it for Kid Trunks or Goten, but in the end I do feel like the positives of this cliche outweigh the negatives, so therefore it gets a pass. Moving on to probably one of my favourite cliches on this list, we have the screaming cliche. It's a widely known fact around the world that characters in fictional stories gain strength by screaming, and that was popularized by Dragon Ball Z. People usually bring up that Dragon Ball Z has characters screaming for episodes on end. While that is mainly thanks to filler, I personally could listen to Teen Gohan screaming all the way into a Super Saiyan 2 for hours. And that is why this is one of my favorite Dragon Ball Z cliches. So the screaming cliche 100% earns my approval. The fifth cliche is something that I always used to notice back when I was a kid. I'm not really sure what to call it, but let's just call it the dust cliche. You know when you have a 4v1 in Dragon Ball Z, and the 4 guys are teaming up on this one powerhouse of a monster? The example I'm thinking of is Vegeta, Gohan, Krillin, Piccolo vs Frieza. At one stage of the fight, they all decide to blast him with energy attacks. By the time they are done, there is a massive sphere of smoke covering Frieza himself. You know, that sphere of smoke where the protagonist can't actually tell if the villain is dead. So you know what, I'm changing this cliche's name. This cliche's new name is the can't tell if villain is dead cliche. And to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of this cliche, especially not in Dragon Ball. Moving on to my absolute favourite cliche in Dragon Ball Z, without a doubt, I like to call this cliche the "you're fucked" cliche. I'm not going to say much for this cliche, I'm going to let it speak for itself. All I'm going to say is whenever someone tanks a punch directly to the face in Dragon Ball Z and is usually smiling, you know whoever threw the punch is incredibly fucked. Hence the name. The final Dragon Ball Z cliche is the bad guy gone good cliche. For those of you that don't know, almost every single Z fighter at one point had a grudge against Goku. Even Yamcha at one stage tried to kill Goku. Tien Shinhan was an assassin who again tried to kill Goku. And don't even get me started on Piccolo and Vegeta. There have been a bunch of Dragon Ball Z characters who have fit this cliche, but is it a bad cliche? Well, I don't think it is, at least for Dragon Ball. For Dragon Ball it works. Piccolo, Vegeta, Krillin, Yamcha, Tien, they are great characters. Maybe not Yamcha, but that has been 7 Dragon Ball Z cliches. Let me know if I missed any cliches down in the comment section below, but as always, I will see you guys in the next Dragon Ball Z video.